And we welcome you all back for more Saturday night racing for the iRacing Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. Today, we're set to swing on over into round number 5 of the first and, well, technically the final season here of 2021 here for the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. Hello, welcome one and all to the show. My name is Nolan Rempel. I'll be bringing you all the coverage tonight from start to finish. Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's race. And he and I together will be bringing you all the show here from start to finish, flag to flag. Qualifying is just getting underway. And what a crazy finish it ended up being just 1 week ago at the Charlotte Roval. And after the intensity of that season finale, the race finale just 1 week ago, Chris Johnson still finds himself up in the points lead by 26.5 points over Robert Pattengale. Robert Pattengale himself just 1.5 points up from Kenny Powell. So you got yourself about a second on back through fourth with only about 4.5 points separating some of the podium drivers. But Chris Johnson, though, is looking set to secure himself a solid championship. As you had seen just a moment ago, Craig Johnson having a bit of a slap to the outside wall in qualifying. That is no doubt one incident he is going to be wanting to forget throughout the course of the night. I believe about 21 drivers so far have all been able to set some times out there on the track in terms of points. 2 so far on the track here tonight. It is Travis Manning at the top of the boards at the moment with the 29.041. He will sit provisional pole, but there is still a good 3 minutes remaining here in qualifying. So we have a long ways to go before the race gets set to go green here tonight from the Texas Motor Speedway at the Hooters 250. It's 167 laps. Getting set to be brought to you here tonight. Stages, always a present factor here in these races. Stage 1 will be at the conclusion of lap number 50. Stage 2 at the conclusion of lap 105. With a total of 5 tire sets for drivers on the 9. Now you can also see down there at the bottom of the screen, estimated 46 laps, give or take, is the fuel window. Meaning for one of the first times all season long, drivers will not be able to make it to the end of these stages without having to make a stop for fuel. So strategy going to be opened up massively here in Texas Motor Speedway. And on the Thursday night series, a lot of drivers said they liked the updated strategies. The fact like they had to kind of make sure you conserve fuel throughout the runs in order to spend as little time as possible down pit road. And no doubt we could be seeing some more of that strategy drama taking place over the course of tonight. We also have one of the biggest fields so far that we've ever had in the Saturday Cup Series so far. Presently a total of 16 drivers getting set to see what they can do here at the Texas Motor Speedway. 11 of those 16 drivers have so far set times. Manning has completed both of his qualifying laps. He remains on the provisional pole for the time being. Joshua Watson sits in second place. Johnson third. Matthew Tyrrell in fourth. Brian Watson rounds out the top 5. Kenny Powell just going 8th fastest on his first lap with a 29.351. Under 10 thousandths of a second up to Greg Wachinski, who currently sits in 7th place. Slowest time on the day so far, about a second back from Manning's time, set by Joshua O'Connor. Although that is not terribly far off from Gary Adamson. In fact, Gary Adamson going to be improving on his positioning. He'll be going his way up towards the topper end of the boards. Getting in a time that's good enough for 9th place, bumping Frank Flores out to the second slowest driver on the grid. Jay Hone, Richard Elliott also setting times in there as well. And it looks as though Paul Olsen and Pedro Henrique will not be looking to make qualifying runs here tonight. So with just 30 seconds remaining in qualifying, it does look like we will not be having any further drivers going out to set qualifying times. Therefore, the field is set, so it'll be Manning and Joshua Watson up on the front row. Under a 1/10 of a second separating your top 2 drivers for the time being. Just 10 seconds remaining here in qualifying. We're going to take a quick step away and we'll let you guys listen in to the national anthem. We'll be back with the starting grid in just a few minutes.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine!
The national anthem has been sung, and the most famous words in motorsports have been spoken. Let's take a rundown for your Tucson Sound Art starting grid for the Hooters 250 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. It's Travis Manning on pole position, set it in a 29.041. So close to the 28-second range. He's the only driver to break into that 28-second pocket as they rounded out practice. Beside him on the front row is going to be Joshua Watson. Chris Johnson, points leader coming into the night. He starts third place on the grid. Matthew Terrell beside him down in fourth. Brian Watson is going to be down in fifth, with Adrian Watts down in sixth place here in this one to round out row number 3. Greg Wychinski and Kenny Powell, they will end out the top half here of tonight's 16-car grid. Newcomer Gary Adamson going to be starting it up in ninth place, with Craig Johnson beside him to round out the top 10. Another newcomer, Richard Elliott, bringing it in at that 11th position in the 02 car. Jay Hone going to be in the 38. Shake and Bakes, Frank Flores had a good finish 1 week ago at the Charlotte Roval. He will start 13th, with yet another newcomer, Joshua O'Connor, down at 14th, setting the last of the qualifying times on the night. Paul Olson and Pedro Henrique round out tonight's 16-car field here from Texas. So just waiting now on that pace car to lead this field of 16 strong on their one and only pace lap. And it's going to be a long race. It's going to be a test of endurance. You got 167 laps, 50 miles longer than the traditional 200-mile length that we typically see at other ovals, such as Kansas, such as Vegas, and even some tracks on the occasion, such as Atlanta. But here at this quad oval tonight, it is going to be for 250 miles. A long race in store for these drivers up ahead of them. Some problems for Kenny Powell getting his car fired up on the starting grid, though. He stalls out with the rest of the field. So big issues for that 24 machine. And just now finally gets his car rolling, but they are going to have to scramble the field already, exiting turn number 2, and they have not even left the grid. And the caution flag has been thrown. We'll have that one extra lap to allow the field to catch up to the rest of the leaders. Wise call, I would think, on the race controllers to be able to throw that caution flag and allow some time for the guys in behind to catch on up to the tail of the pace of the line, considering the massive struggles that we had getting these cars off of the grid, particularly in that last half of the field. Looked like Powell tried to go once, then stalled, and that ended up stacking up the entire back portion of this field. It's not often you see a yellow flag being thrown before the race even starts, but such is the way of racing from time to time. So the field of 16 cars strong. They're stacked up now. They're doubled up. They're ready to go racing. Pace car lights will go out this time by... Get to see what these 16 cars will do here at this 250-mile, 167-lap race. If it's anything that we saw at the Thursday race, it's going to be a fun one here tonight. If you just joined us, welcome to the show. My name is Dola Repo. I'll be bringing you to the show here for the Hooters 250 from Texas Motor Speedway from start to finish. It's Manning on pole, Watson in second, Johnson third, Tiro fourth, Brian Watson rounding out your top 5 on the day from qualifying. Once again, stages on the night. There are 3 of them, as always. Stage 1 ends on lap 50. Stage 2 at 105. Estimated fuel window, roughly 46 laps. Obviously, that can fluctuate a little depending on how much you opt to conserve fuel. So coming around through turns 3 and 4. And it will be in the hands of a very pink number 22 Frontline Motorsports machine who will control this field on the restart. Pace car is down and in. We thank you that you're joining us on a Saturday night. Just waiting for that iRacing starter now. And we say, let's go racing from Texas! As they exit turn number 4, the top two get away well, but a huge bobble from Joshua Watson sees him lose ground to Chris Johnson. They go 3-1 through the quad oval. Johnson with the pass in the grass down to the turn number 1. And the 48 car is going to pull ahead into second place. Madden leads the opening lap. But keep one eye on Matthew Tyrrell, that mythic machine, trying to pull the outside line. The Rush Speed Motorsports number 29 entry trying to pull clear from Gas and Go on the bottom side. It looks like it will be Matthew Tyrrell to potentially win out in this battle if he can carry that momentum around through turn 1 just one more time. But he still has got Chris Johnson to contend with. And all of this means that Travis Madden has already gotten out to a gap of over a second after the conclusion of just 2 laps in this race. Sliding up is Brian Watson cutting across Adrian Watts. They're going to try to go 3 wide again. Kenny Powell on the bottom, down the back straightaway. Greg Wyszynski backs out from the middle. I mentioned this might get crazy here, especially considering how that Thursday night race went. Brian Watson going side by side with Adrian Watts in the battle for 5th place down to the turn 1 on lap number 4. While Adrian Watts was able to pull ahead slightly on corner entry of turn 1, it's just so hard to carry that momentum down the back straightaway. That outside can carry a lot more speed, especially in the early runs. So Brian Watson pulls ahead, and now Watts falling back into the clutches of Kenny Powell in the 24. And already Kenny Powell dropping in the clutch, allowing the clutch to rotate the car a little bit more through corner entry to carry more speed through the center of 1 and 2. But it is not going to be enough. Adrian Watts pulls ahead and clears down low by the time they get around for turn 3. And so for the first time all night long, we single file out. Only took 6 laps in just a 16-car field. Powell trying to make too much of a run on corner entry through turn 1. Washes a bit wide. I don't think he'll have enough speed to have a proper run with Adrian Watts down into turn 3, and in fact he doesn't. He's got to tuck that one in and just wait a little bit longer. Eat that G&G number 24. Chris Johnson has some pressure being applied to him for 3rd place. Matthew Tyrrell in the 29 has been attempting to close in the gap and potentially get a run for the past couple of laps. I see him looking for the inside line on Chris Johnson, but just not able to get a proper run for that position. Trying to diamond off the corner, enter high, exit down low. It's never a strategy that is too far off of working for a couple of these drivers. One driver, though, making an early trip to pit road. Here comes Jay Hone in the Miller Lite number 38 entry. Taking a very early trip down to pit road. Hone will almost certainly lose a lap, but if this is one of his strategies to go for an early pit stop, it is worth noting that from here he would be safe to the end on fuel, but I would feel it's way too early to be thinking about making a green flag pit stop that's scheduled. So he will lose that lap here under green as the field storms by around the outside line. And sure enough, fuel only stopped for Jay Hone, and he's back in it. Didn't even get out of the car. An interesting call then from Jay Hone. If we manage to talk to him later on in the race, I would certainly like to know his thoughts behind that one. He is the lucky dog driver, as he is the only one a lap down, but we'll see what the effects of that pit call is going to be later on in this race. For now, Chris Johnson and Matthew Tyrrell still looking to do battle for 2nd and 3rd. Tiro, though, still has not been able to get as good of a run as I think he might have liked on Chris Johnson. Johnson has so far been doing a great job at being able to keep that Rush B Motorsports entry at bay. You can see, though, that they have started to steadily run down Travis Manning. The gap was up to about 1.2 seconds at the end of lap number 5, and now as we get around to lap 11, the gap has shrunk a bit to 1.05. For the first time all race, drops under a second as well since they've single filed out. So Travis Manning might have some work ahead of him if these guys manage to get a better run. And how about a look from Joshua Watson trying to throw it down the inside of Matthew Tyrrell in the battle for 4th. But Watson had to back out as Tyrrell came down and covered. It was too late of a move for Josh Watson to realistically make that one work, because he had to check out. That has now put him into the clutches of his brother Brian Watson just in behind. Just behind this group, you can also see Kenny Powell and Adrian Watts still looking tight as well. A lot of these little fights in the mid-pack going on at the moment. You've obviously got first place, and then you've got second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh all in the line. Wachinski's trying to run down this top field. From there, there's a small battle going on between Richard Elliott and Joshua O'Connor further down the order. And pushing wide is Elliott through turns 1 and 2. Losing out on a spot to Joshua O'Connor, who works his way up further through the order, and that's going to allow Paul Olson to throw one down the inside line as well. Battle as well is on further up the field. Matthew Tyrrell about to lose third place to the 01 car of Joshua Watson. Watson got the run down into turn 3, and Watson will take the third position away in turn 1. Oh, contact! Watson takes out Matthew Tyrrell, and Tyrrell somehow hangs on! A brilliant save from the Rush B Motorsports entry. And Matthew Tyrrell might need to change his race shorts after that one. Talk about a save, almost 45 degrees sideways of the track. Rebounded off the apron. Brian Watson just pushed too wide. But what a save from that mythic entry. Wachinski trying to look up the inside of Matthew Tyrrell. Pass doesn't go anywhere. That's bumped Matthew Tyrrell all the way down to P5. Now it's kind of split apart this leading pack. Second, third, and fourth have all managed to break away. Wachinski still making these little looks down the back straightaway, but he's just not able to find some proper speed. Because it's compromised his corner entry, that's allowing his G&G teammate of Kenny Powell to try to close up from just in behind. And Wachinski going to push really wide out of turn 2. Keeps it out of the wall, but that gives a huge run to Kenny Powell, who looks to take away 6th place into turn 3. And Powell's up another one. Brian Watson's just waiting in behind Wachinski, seeing if that 84 Mustang can potentially work his way back up. Wachinski looking to come back on his G&G teammate down the back straightaway this next time by. Three and 4, the inside line tends to work out a little bit better than in 1 and 2. You can still see that Wachinski was just not able to carry enough momentum through the center of the corner to be able to properly get a run on that 24 Chevrolet. It's Toyota, pardon me. Now Wachinski bobbling off the apron. It's a very easy mistake to make in turns 3 and 4. You just want to get a bit too comfortable with it. Never want to get too familiar with that white line on the inside line. It is very, very easy for that thing to at least send you up the track, if not spin you around if you're going quick enough. Further the track, Matthew Tyrrell trying to get a run on Adrian Watts, so whatever damage Tyrrell might have sustained to not just his tires, but that left rear quarter panel, not hindered him too much. And Adrian Watts backs out early in the JBR Racing entry, trying to get the switch back off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. You see Powell just waited in the wings, looking to stock down a 5th place finish in stage number 1. He's towing his G&G teammate Greg Wachinski just up behind him. How about that attempt for a pass around the outside line for Kenny Powell, but just way too wide. That opens up the door for Wachinski to get a run. You see Kenny Powell trying to utilize all of the track that he can to try to carry as much speed as he can through that front straightaway through the 2 dog legs. Still trying to fight Wachinski off on the low side. Powell, though, manages to pull around and drops down right in front of Greg Wachinski as once again the 5 car just bouncing off of that apron. Got to try to hug it as much as you can through 3 and 4, but Wachinski's getting that Chevrolet a little bit too familiar with that white line. Sooner or later, it could come back to bite him in a big way. And now we get to the side that we were expecting to see at the start of the race. A little bit more of a spread out field as the run goes on. Although it might not stay that way for very long. 8th and 9th looking to heat on up. Brian Watson under fire from Craig Johnson into turn number 3. And Johnson's going to pull around to the inside line and very clean overtake on Brian Watson. Although it's not secure just yet. Watson trying to fight the top line. But he's not able to. Craig Johnson will clear out of 2 right up to the wall. Halfway through stage number 1. 24 laps remaining before we get our first competition caution on the day. Jay Hone has just lost another lap to the race leaders. Makes him 2 down. And we should take one of those laps back when when the rest of the field comes down to pit, but that still means he's going to be 1 down by the time you get to the caution. Thankfully, he's the only one to lap down at the moment. That should mean he's the lucky dog driver. And we'll get that lap back. So we ride on board with Brian Watson. See the gap growing up to Craig Johnson just up the road from him. Still hovering around half a second, 4.5 tenths. Closes in quite a bit on corner entry, but he just loses that speed through the mid-corner. He's too aggressive on the entry to try to close the gap, and that means he just compromises himself for the runs out of these corners. Further down the field, Gary Adamson lost out on 11th place, to Frank Flores. And he actually might lose another one here to Paul Olson if Olson has anything to say about it. That number 4 Monster Energy Mustang looks to maybe have burned all of his stuff up early on. As Olson looks for the inside line. Lost 4/10 to Flores the last lap by, and another 2 to Olson. Even further behind, you saw Richard Elliott make a move on Pedro Henrique. That pass is completed in 3 and 4. And Olson completes his run on Gary Adamson as well through the turn 4 exit onto the front straightaway. So while the battles are waiting to get heated up, you still got all this action going on further towards the back of the field. It's never necessarily a dull racetrack at the Ironton Stock Car Association. You can always find something going on somewhere. Joshua Watson from 3rd place making the call to come down pit road. So potential green flag stops on the way. Some drivers wanted to just make it to around that halfway point in the first stage before we get back into the rhythm. He's going to have fresh tires, which could be a good run for him, trying to go for the undercut on Chris Johnson and Travis Manning. So far, nobody else is going to challenge the undercut. Interesting call. The closest grouping of cars on the track you just saw flash by, it's with Adrian Watts, Matthew Tyrrell, and Kenny Powell for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But what will likely cycle out to be 4th, 5th, and 6th. Watson is out of pit road. And he is now back on the lead lap. Or a lap down, I should say. The problem for Jay Hone is now if a caution comes out, he's going to be trapped 2 down for likely the remainder of the race. So the 08 car going to be looking to fend off Kenny Powell just in behind. So he's right on board with Adrian Watson, looking lower for 3 and 4. I wonder, thinking about pitting. Opted not to go for it. Just wanted to take a shallower entry to 3 and 4. But that's allowed Kenny Powell to close right up. And Powell will look for the inside line down the front straightaway. Adrian Watts moves up and lets him have it into 1 and 2. So Watts loses out on P4 and 5. They're about to catch up to Jay Hone, who's working a bit slower on the top side. Jay Hone now with right front damage as well, so Hone has had a brush with the wall somewhere. And here comes Adrian Watts now making the call to come down pit road. Went a little bit later than Chris Johnson did. So yet more drivers going to be looking to make their one required pit stop before the end of stage 1. Looking at the gaps, it looks like when Joshua Watson came down, he took potentially 4 tires, or he might have only taken 2. It's in the pits for about 12 seconds. I haven't ever heard of a 4-tire stop only lasted 12 seconds long. And Travis Manning down pit road as well. Adrian Watts takes 4. Paul Olson is coming in, as well as Joshua O'Connor. So this is that pit window. Travis Manning takes fuel only to make it to the end of the stage. So far, it's a very split call between 2 tires, 4 tires, or fuel. You got about 1 of each at the moment. Olson comes into his pit stall, and you can just see a little further behind O'Connor. Going to be making it into his box safe and sound. Jay Hone coming in again to pit road, along with Brian Watson. So Jay Hone shot himself in the foot with the earlier pit call. Paul Olson is away. Olson took 4. O'Connor took 4. Jay Hone overshoots his box. He's got to back up. As does Brian Watson. And Brian Watson still struggling. He's lost about 5 to 10 seconds now trying to adjust in his pit box. Finally gets it in. So you see Chris Johnson down pit road along with Kenny Powell. Brian Watson took 2 tires. Teddy Powell took fuel only. Chris Johnson, I think, took fuel only. So Matthew Tyrrell is now down to pit road. So currently the net race leader is still Travis Manning. There's no surprise there. Matthew Tyrrell also taking fuel only. He's off and away. Wachinski now in from second place on the course. Still have the top 5, minus Wachinski that needed to come down to pit. Craig Johnson is currently the net race leader on track by about 10 seconds. And Wachinski looks to be taking 4 tires along with fuel. Once again, very, very split calls. It's quite literally right down the middle. It's whether they take tires or not. About 5 drivers have taken either fuel only or 2. The rest have all taken 4 or have repaired damages. Craig Johnson, Richard Elliott are both in. That makes Frank Flores the current on-track race leader. Craig Johnson, I believe, took 2 tires and fuel. Richard Elliott, he is going to be taking 4. Just waiting now on Frank Flores and Pedro Henrique. I say the real question was going to be where Joshua Watson was going to come out in all of this. He is presently the last driver on the lead lap, running, I believe, 7th. I don't think he's gained as much time as would have liked. I think he's net P6 at the moment. And now we have less than 10 laps to go in this opening stage, and you're still waiting on a couple of drivers that need to come down. You cannot save enough fuel to make it to the end of stage 1. Don't forget as well, pit road closes 2 laps prior to the end of the stage. So there you see Frank Flores being passed up by Craig Johnson to take a lap back. Flores among one of those drivers that has not come down to his box yet. Petrese a couple of seconds back, and they're both going to be hitting pit road this time by. And this will wrap out the green flag pit stops in stage 1. So Travis Manning going to easily cycle back through to take up the race lead. In fact, he might even put Henrique and Flores a lap down if he can get to them quick enough. Henrique will be taking 4 tires. Flores goes fuel only. Wanted to get out before Travis Manning get to him, but it's not going to happen. Manning is going to put Frank Flores 1 lap down on the pit exit. Just breezes by him as Flores turn 1 on the apron. So we'll be coming to 4 laps to go now in stage 1. Chris Johnson is a long way back. 10.8 seconds between first and second place alone. And that is after the pit stop cycles through. Talk about a huge gap from those 2 drivers. It's already lapped up to 10th place. He might even be able to lap 10th place by the time this stage ends. The caution flies when 10th place crosses the line. The current battle on track is between Adrian Watts, Craig Johnson, and Paul Olson, as well as second and third. But no battle is necessarily really close. We're talking several tenths between those drivers. And with 2 laps to go, in stage 1, pit road is now officially closed. Drivers can no longer come down pit road for the remainder of the stage. Joshua Watson running down Kenny Powell. It was only 7/10 separated them at the start of this lap. Now it's going to be about half a second. So he might not even be able to take that spot away from Kenny Powell for stage points before this stage ends. The caution doesn't come out to freeze the field until 10th place, or the last car in the lead lap crosses the line. Whichever one is further up the field. And you can see Kenny Powell looking back with a hungry Joshua Watson just in behind. But for Travis Manning, going to come around through turns 3 and 4. It's been a great run for that 22 Frontline machine thus far. So far has dominated the race, and he will win out in stage number 1. Just waiting on a couple of these battles to come across the line, and Powell and Watson going side by side for P number 5. Crucial stage points into turn 3. And they're going to come across the line. This will be a drag race at the start finish, but Powell will pull ahead, and he'll get that spot over Joshua Watson. Just got to wait on the final couple of drivers, and that's going to be a drag race of its own. Paul also looking to the inside of Adrian Watts, and don't think he got there at the line. And with that, the caution flag flies on stage number 1. We'll take a quick step away, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
So we are back at the Texas Motor Speedway for the Hooters 250. Pit road is open. We'll be talking with all the guys, or some of the guys at least, in stage number 1 in just a couple of moments. It was Travis Manning to win the stage. Johnson was second. You, of course, had Matthew Tyrrell in 3rd place. Greg Wyszynski 4th. Kenny Powell 5th. Joshua Watson in 6th. Gary Adamson 7th. Adrian Watts 8th. Paul Olson 9th. Craig Johnson rounding out the top 10. And yellow flag pit stops are presently underway. Greg Wyszynski, though, going to actually best out Chris Johnson. Greg Wyszynski will pick up 2nd place at the pit stops. That should make it for a rather interesting restart. I think it's worth to say the very least. So we are going to see if we can't bring up a couple of the drivers to give a bit of a chat with us at the end of this one. And we'll see if we can't get in touch with your stage 1 winner, Travis Manning, joining us up here in the broadcast booth. Travis, this is Nolan. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, a stage 1 win, and I think 10.8 seconds. I think a dominant stage 1 is a bit of an understatement for you at the moment.
I mean, I've definitely got to shout out Dan Shamoon over at Frontline Esports. He worked really hard on this car after Wednesday, Thursday. Worked super hard on this car, and this thing is flawless. It's a blast to drive, and so far so good.
Well, of course, this is the first oval race where you are having to pit, under the green flag for pit stops during these stages. Has that affected your strategy at all? You can't really go flat out to the end of these stages anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. That and last stage, I only put enough fuel to get it there, and I almost didn't make it. So it's it definitely throws a curveball in your strategy. You got to make sure when you do pit, you don't pit too soon if you want to play the short fuel. So it's definitely a lot of things that go into factor. And if you want to take tires one stage, not take them another, it's a lot to think about in a very what feels like a short amount of time.
So stage 2 going to be coming on next. It's going to be about another 50 laps from when we go green. Do you have another game plan, or is it going to be the same as stage 1?
Oh, we're going to drive it and see what we can do. If we can make it on fumes to the end of stage 2, that'd be nice. But, for right now, we'll just stick with our guns and see what happens.
And so far, that's been working for you thus far throughout this race, and hopefully it'll work for you later on in the race as well. Before I let you go then, Travis, anybody you'd like to shout out for that Frontline Esports number 22?
Yeah, absolutely. Frontline, Dan specifically, and they got a Bruising on the car. Shout out to them, Bruising Hughes, everyone that's watching this race right now. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully we can bring her home tonight.
And thank you, Travis, for taking the time to come up here into the broadcast booth and join us. And best of luck in stage number 2.
Thank you.
That was Frontline Esports Travis Manning. Pardon me, bringing it home in stage number 1. And he is going to be trying to go back-to-back to sweep the stages tonight. Lights are out on the pace car. And Jay Hone going to blast by the pace car to take 1 lap back, but he will remain 2 down. So far, lining it up for the stage 2 restart, you've got Manning, Wachinski, Chris Johnson, Matthew Tyrrell, Powell, Joshua Watson, Gary Adamson, Adrian Watts, Craig Johnson, O'Connor, Brian Watson, Paul Olson, Richard Elliott, Frank Flores, Pedro Henrique, and Jay Hone. Elliott, Flores, and Henrique all 1 lap down. 12th place on up, still on the lead lap. And Jay Hone, the only driver 2 laps down on the night. I want to give a huge shout out as well to you guys, the folks at home, for being able to take the time on out of your Saturday nights to come on over and join us for the Hooters 250 at Texas Motor Speedway. Whether it be from Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, we are happy to have you wherever you are. Pace car down to pit road. This time, it will not be the iRacing starter. It'll be Travis Manning to control this restart. Launch is good. We're off and away. And the front row caught napping. Chris Johnson pulls alongside Greg Wachinski as Travis Manning is gone into turn number 1. And looking 3 wide already. Matthew Tyrrell gonna go up the middle. Greg Wachinski bails out from the high side. Powell picks up 2. And look out for Joshua Watson looking aggressive on the bottom side as well. Wachinski not able to tuck in line. He started 2nd place. And he's rapidly dropping through this field. We're noting, I believe he may have only taken 2 or fuel only on that pit stop. So he's not having the best of times right now. O'Connor washes up and nearly wipes out Wachinski, but they managed to get out of that mess. Adrian Watts slides right up in front. O'Connor has to let Craig Johnson by. Up front, Matthew Tyrrell getting a run on Kenny Powell in the battle for 4th and 3rd. And Powell just lifted off and said, taking it into turn number 1. Trying to tuck in line. Maybe a crossover. Thinking about it, weaving around, looking for the inside. But Powell will back out of that one into turn 3. For the behind, Joshua O'Connor under fire from Gary Adamson into turn 1. Adamson goes through into 9th. But O'Connor looking to fight the outside line out of turn number 2. And the 94 Mustang is going to go back to the point. clears down in front of Adamson. That's allowed Flores, Brian Watson, and Pedro Henrique all into the fray. Henrique and Watson gonna go 3 wide through the dog legs with Frank Flores in the middle. And Flores manages to force Henrique to back out from the bottom side. Brian Watson slides up. Contact as Flores doors Brian Watson up the hill. Just carried too much speed through corner entry for that 28 Red Sox machine. And now bounces off the apron again. Flores is going to allow Henrique through. Brian Watson got some pretty big right front damage from that. And Flores dinged in his right side a bit as well. Matthew Tyrrell is still on the hunt, looking down the inside of Chris Johnson. Johnson tried to go down and cover, but he's forced to back off as Matthew Tyrrell was there. And that Rush Beam Motorsports crew is looking strong as they've blitzed their way up to second place now and trying to run down Travis Manning, who's just about half a second up the road. We'll keep tabs on this battle for the lead, but it's still a hornet's nest further in the field. Brian Watson and Joshua O'Connor looking to go side by side into turn number 3. They've got guys like Henrique, Flores, Gary Adamson, and Elliott all in the fray as well. This is a hornet's nest here in the back portion of the field. Henrique is going to make up a couple of places. He'll be up to 13th now, but it is worth noting he is still that 1 lap down. But you got about 3 of the cars in this grouping that are laps down, which is no doubt not a good feeling for some of the other guys that might be trying to battle for position up here. You got the guys that are battling for position, which are Henrique, Flores, and Elliott, and then there's also O'Connor and Watson that were looking to try to tango, along with Gary Adamson way deeper in the pack. They're going to try to get themselves sorted on out. As you can see, O'Connor from 10th place sliding way up the track. And looks like Richard Elliott will let him get that position over him on the course. Up front, the battles are starting to close as well. Kenny Powell and Joshua Watson are looking a bit tighter in the battle for 4th and 5th. Joshua Watson is just so much better on getting the run on Powell out of turn number 2. And any second now, Watson is going to look for that position to try to commit to it. We'll keep our eyes on this little grouping here, but you can also see on the left-hand side, Travis Manning's gap has shrunk significantly back to Matthew Tyrrell. So you've got a lot of these little battles starting to shake up here within your top 10. Travis Manning able to pull a little bit that last time by. Increases the gap to about 3.5 tenths. Just a touch further behind as well. You've still got Kenny Powell trying to keep Joshua Watson at bay, though. See Kenny Powell trying to take the enter high, exit low approach. Joshua Watson doing the inverse of that maneuver into turns 1 and 2. That's what makes turns 1 and 2 unique. You really take a lot of different lines depending on if you're the defender or if you're the attacker. 3 and 4, not so much. It tends to remain that the bottom line is the quickest way around the track. So far, this remains one of the closest battles for position on track. Although the battle for 10th and 11th between Joshua O'Connor and Gary Adamson is not necessarily far off from it. And in fact, Pedro Henrique and Frank Flores are getting a bit closer as well the last couple of laps. This battle, this grouping at least in this kind of back portion of the field, has split off significantly in the last few laps as everybody's been able to sort themselves out into their own little paces. Which is good news for some of these guys further up the field who are definitely kind of hoping they wouldn't have a caution. Hoping to run stage 2 out green. And we went green on lap number 56, which will make this an official 50-lap stage as well. Of course, this battle for position is down between 2 lap cars as well. Look back to the 10th and 11th. O'Connor about to lose ground to Gary Adamson, and it's a very interesting dynamic we're seeing in this battle. Adamson is able to close up so much on Joshua O'Connor in 1 and 2, but that is only because O'Connor is taking such a wide line. But that's allowing O'Connor to carry so much speed off of turn 2. It's kind of prevented Adamson from being able to get a proper run on for that position. This time, though, O'Connor's going to cut down low as you see Henrique looking to go defensive against Frank Flores. Flores washing up. Step with the back end out just a touch as well. But still able to hold on strong. Olsen, meanwhile, has come down to make his pit stop. He's just exiting pit road now. You remember, you do have to make 1 green flag pit stop here in the stages. So Olsen now the second to last car on the track running. Put my meteorologist hat on here for a minute and just turn weatherman here. I will say it's a relatively overcast day. You'd think the sun would be setting, but that is not the case. It is just cloudy over the racetrack. 72 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 86 on course. Very, very calm winds tonight, just blowing off to the north at about 2 miles an hour. So overall, it's just about a perfect day you can get for racing. Jay Hone has made the trip down to pit road. He was already 2 down. He'll go 3 now. And might even go 4. He will go 4. There's Travis Manning. You just saw him at the back of the shot, exiting turn 4. So far, though, both cars that have come down have both been a parts of lap traffic. Although Chris Johnson is losing some time to Kenny Powell now. And could be under fire here just momentarily. Powell was looking for down the back straightaway, and look at how much speed Powell carries through. Gets sideways out of turn number 4. Holds on. But that's cost him a couple of hundredths now. Up to Chris Johnson. You see how much that's allowed Joshua Watson to close in. And how about that? Pedro Henrique becomes our first retirement on the day. Henrique has pulled it off the track. And for what we're hearing, technical difficulties for the 41 car has seen him out now of this race. What a shame. Powell has stopped the hemorrhaging time so far back to Joshua Watson. Just had to take some time to get those tires cooled down before he could get back into the rhythm of things. Legacy Joshua Watson looking to close on up. And Kenny Powell making the call, pitting in this time by Paul Olson. Fresh tires trying to dice his way through as well. And sure enough, the 24 car making the duck down to pit road for 4th place. And a late call from Chris Johnson to do the same. Powell tries to go for the overtake on pit entry, but that doesn't work out for him. Chris Johnson, though, made a very late call to come down in front of his teammate. Now the question is, 4 tires, fuel only. Powell's going to take at least right sides. Chris Johnson with the fuel only strategy, while Powell will take 4. Joshua O'Connor will become the next driver to come down pit road. Coming in out of 10th place, so one of the last cars on the lead lap. The Coors Light 49 car. Whoa, heads up, Gary Adamson actually gets him on pit entry. How about that for an overtake for Gary Adamson? Came in with a lot more speed, but he's actually able to not just initiate the pass, but clear into the pit entry. Got to be overtaking the race for sure there. And O'Connor and Adamson both looking to take tires. You see Craig Johnson coming down now in that 83 machine. Left side's up on the jack, and sure enough, Gary Adamson going to beat out O'Connor as well. That's one way to take 10th place away. Craig Johnson made the fuel-only call on his pit stop as well. You can see Adamson just coming out of pit road. He'll come on out in a nice pocket of clean air between the battles for 3rd and 4th and 2nd as well. Joshua Watson and Adrian Watts still looking to tango for what was spots just for the top 5, but now it is for podium positions on track, but they have yet to pit yet. And this will be interesting to see if Joshua O'Connor will be able to get through, because O'Connor is on very fresh rubber. He's going to want to get through, and Adrian Watt's going to move aside, and he'll say go on through to Joshua O'Connor. But O'Connor bobbles off the apron, and he will split up this battle as a result. But Joshua Watts will also move up to make room for the 49 car, and that should allow Adrian Watts to at least close in a little bit of time. You can tell that Adrian Watts kind of wants to go for this position, but it's a question of how desperate are you to go for it. So far, it hasn't gotten too messy among them, which is the good news. But we are under 20 laps to go now, and it'll be 10 to go in just a few laps' time here in stage number 1 as well. Jay Hone is going to look for the outside line. The 38 car has fresh rubber, but he is 4 laps down. So Hone might have to be patient, because even if he gets by them, this is not a battle that will result in being 4th position. And Watts has closed up even more. But he's just not able to probably get the look on Joshua Watson. Look at Kenny Powell blitzing past on the bottom side. Powell obviously in with fresh rubber, as is Chris Johnson, as they're among the first guys to come on down. I feel like a lot of these drivers are going to be looking to run their tanks out about as long as they can get. And how about Watts trying to find an inside run? And you might be able to make that run here into turn number 1 if he really feels like going for it on Joshua Watson. He's backing off, though. I think Adrian Watts has wanted to settle this one in the pit stops. And from second place, Matthew Tyrrell is going to make the call to come into pit road. And just on cue, Adrian Watts comes with him, going to go for the undercut to get around Joshua Watson. Matthew Tyrrell makes the fuel-only call, whereas Adrian Watts will take 4 tires. Just in behind, Frank Flores makes his trip down. Still, so far, nobody else looking to make that journey down to pit road, which is a bit of an interesting call for me. You'd think you'd have some people looking to go for it. You've got less than 10 laps to go now in stage 2. And that technically means you got about 5 laps until pit road closes. If you were to ask me if there's ever a time to come down to pit road, now is that time. We are waiting on Richard Elliott to come into pit road, as well as the top 4. Everyone behind them is, as far as we're concerned, good to go. Gary Adamson is rapidly catching Richard Elliott. On fresh tires with about a 4th position, Elliott's going to move up and allow Adamson easily through in 1 and 2. It's a no-contest fight right there. That's Elliott fading in the rear. Travis Manning from the lead. Down pit road. Now's the time to do it. I would suspect fuel only for the Abruzzi number 22, and in fact it is. Just like in stage number 1, no surprises there. Brian Watson also making the drop down from P4. Levi Wachinski to come down as well. At this point in time, you may as well just come down to get enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. There's no point taking fresh tires. Save those for the stage caution. Richard Elliott going to make a duck down. I mean, we're now just waiting on make it 2 more drivers. Watson and Wachinski, the only 2 drivers left to come down. And on cue, Joshua Watson is going to bring it in just 2 laps prior before pit road closes. Wachinski picks up the race lead, and he is now officially 2 to go before the stage ends. Richard Elliott going to breeze away. I would not be surprised if once again we saw Travis Manning cycle through to the race lead. In fact, Travis Manning in a fight with Kenny Powell. 4th position on track. Might have waited too long. Kenny Powell also on fresh rubber. Could give him a little bit of a fight here for stage number 2's victory. Now, Greg Wachinski is on the last possible lap to come down before pit road closes. If the number 5 car he actually might be in trouble here. If he wants to come down, he needs to come in right now, or pit road's going to close, and he can't come in then for the rest of the stage. And just now, Wachinski going to make his pit stop, and right at the buzzer, I thought the stage ended at the top of the lap counter at 100. I made the same mistake on Thursday night. Forgot it ended at 105. Matthew Tyrrell under fire from Adrian Watts in the battle for 4th and 5th. Adrian Watts going to blitz through, and he'll pick up 4th place. Matthew Tyrrell dropping back. That means that it'll be Kenny Powell and Travis Manning to duke it out for the stage win. Just up from them, the battle for 11th and 10th has swapped hands. O'Connor and Brian Watson have changed it around. This is honestly turned into quite the battle for Stage 2. So it is going to be 4 laps remaining. And Kenny Powell looking to pull away from Travis Manning to get a stage win. And we're talking, this is the guy that, if you remember, dominated stage 1, won it by 10.8 seconds. I don't know how it's gone so wrong for him that he wouldn't be able to go back-to-back in stage 2. He had such a good start as well. I think he waited too long to come into the pits. Should have gone in early to counter the undercut from other drivers coming in sooner. So now pit road officially closes with 2 to go in stage 2. And Brian Watson has just been lapped as well. Less than 10 cars on the lead lap. Caution will come out when P9 crosses the line. You still see Travis Manning trying to do everything he can to run down Kenny Powell. But there's just no time to make it work. So Kenny Powell will take a higher line in 3 and 4, but diamonds it off perfectly, and Kenny Powell will win stage number 2 from Travis Manning. But we have to wait on Joshua O'Connor to cross the line before the stage can actually be made official. How about the battle for 5th place, though? Chris Johnson about to lose it out to Joshua Watson. Watson trying to get the run, but can't get there in time. Chris Johnson will hold on to 5th place for the stage. What a run. So with stage 2 now in the books, we'll take another quick step back, and we'll be back in just a few moments with the remainder of tonight's presentation.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
So back live here from the Texas Motor Speedway. Kenny Powell stayed out, had to wait for the pace car. So I have to wait to see if the 24 car will be able to come on down this time by. The caution came out at the very awkward point where you had to wait. Everybody else has already been in. Grabowczynski is already out and raring to go. You could be one of your new pulsers on the night. I know Travis Mann is up there in second place, and now Powell will come in. And we'll give a talk with the Stage 1 winner as soon as he gets out of pit road again. And it should be all fine and dandy. So the guys coming on down now are cars that are one lap or more down, minus Powell, your Stage 2 winner. And unsurprisingly, we're going to be seeing the G&G entry taking 4 tires along with, well, topping up the tank once more. So with Kenny Powell now going to be exiting pit road, we will see if we can't bring on up your Stage 2 winner on the night. We're going to see if we can't get a hold of Kenny Powell. Kenny, this is Nolan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, Manning won it out by 10.8 seconds in Stage 1, but you somehow beat him out to it in Stage number 2, and I have to say, I think that undercut is what won that one for you.
Yeah, definitely that was the plan. I don't know if he took tires or not. I did. I had planned on taking tires, and then since I was planning on taking tires, I went ahead and split it in the middle or undercut it a little bit. So, yeah, that was definitely the plan, and it definitely worked out.
And I have to ask, because I didn't see you come on down with the rest of the lead lap cars. What happened with you under the caution flag period? Did you just want to start a bit further behind them all?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was happy for my stage win, and I was putting around looking for the pace car, and pace car was way behind me. And by the time it said pit road open, I was past pit road, and the pace car was way behind me. So I missed that opportunity, and we'll have to start from the back and see what we can do.
Well, you should be able to still find yourself with a decent run at least. You're not at the very back, so at least that's some consolation for you. Well, you are 1 degree, so I'll wrap this up here quick. But before I let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for that Gas and Go Toyota Camry?
Definitely my team, G&G Racing, or Gas and Go, as we're also referred to. Clayton Hoffman for putting this set together. Gosh, it's a rocket ship. Love it. So we'll see what we can do here.
Thank you, Kenny, for taking the time to come up here and join us in the booth. Best of luck in Stage 3.
Thank you.
That was Kenny Powell, your Stage 2 winner on the night. Going to quickly go over the Stage 2 results. It was Kenny Powell to win it out over Travis Manning. Adrian Watts was 3rd, Matthew Tiro 4th, Chris Johnson 5th, Joshua Watson 6th, Craig Johnson 7th, Gary Adamson 8th, Joshua O'Connor in 9th, Brian Watson down in 10th. So we're stacked up. We're doubled up. We're ready to go back racing for the remainder of the Hooters 250 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. 57 laps remaining as the pace car pulls off. Once again, an early launch from Travis Manning catches the field napping Matthew Terrell. Cadet clear as well in second place. Adrian Watts trying to push in Chris Johnson towards the wall. Watson is going to make a move up and potentially take over fourth place from G&G's 48 entry as well. And down the back straightaway, Gary Adamson picking up a spot on Joshua O'Connor. O'Connor dropping back. Powell's going to go through as well. And you still see Chris Johnson under fire as well as Joshua Watson's going to go through and hounds the 48 car towards the outside wall. Nearly ran up into the wall, exiting that second dog leg. There you see Adamson in his own battle with Kenny Powell, pulls ahead. And Chris Johnson still in an all-out drag race with Joshua Watson down in the turns 3 and 4. Johnson looking to close in the gap on that 0-1 Chevrolet. Look at the run. He's able to get out of 3 and 4 as a result, but it is not going to be enough to clear by the time they get around for 1 and 2. So for the flattened off turns 1 and 2, Watson pulls ahead of the entry, but once again, here comes the run from the 48 car to take it around the outside. And finally, Chris Johnson gets clear. And we're set to wrap this race off as we single file it out. Whoa, a big slide for Joshua Watson out of turn 2. Sees him lose a spot to Craig Johnson. Lost that one all by himself, just on cold tires. How about Gary Adamson trying to get a run around the 0-1 as well, but that's going to cause him to lose time to Kenny Powell, who's going to try to streak through and pick up 7th. And Gary Adamson still dropping spots. Looking to maybe lose another one to Greg Wyszynski. And he will lose that spot in 3 and 4. So Gary Adamson still dropping down the order, still losing ground. Joshua O'Connor could be the next driver to blitz past him if he can get a good run. Oh, and how about the chop from Addison and O'Connor out of 1 and 2. O'Connor nearly got into him. That's opened up the door for Brian Watson to go through. He'll pick up 9th place now. So a lot of battling still to be had here in the back portion of the top 10. And it looks like they will settle out for the time being. As you can see, Brian Watson once again losing his spot, this time on Gary Adamson. He'll try to make that move up, for Brian Watson. The JBR Racing 4 Mustang has been slowly trying to pick his way back up to a 5th place, since he lost that early on. Gary Adamson now has dropped back to the position he started in earlier tonight. But O'Connor still looking to make some moves, and he'll breeze past the 808 machine. Scored is the 808, showing the 4. A little further up the road, Craig Johnson is steadily losing time to Joshua Watson. Joshua Watson's now looking for the inside line in the turn 3, and he'll get that run. The 01 machine is going to move up into a 5th place. Craig Johnson, though, quickly tucking back in line, wanted to lose as little ground as possible from the outside. And that allows Kenny Powell to start to close in. And your stage 2 winner going to be going around trying to go around the outside line of 1 and 2. how about that? Is able to carry the run through. But is not able to get the run he needed off of 3 and 4, where the inside is still too powerful. He's got 3 different G&G drivers all looking to battle with each other here for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Or 6th, 7th, and one of those drivers is a lap down. Excuse me. That is Greg Wyszynski. That is the lap down. Craig Johnson and Kenny Powell, though, they're looking to fight. Powell picks up 6th. So far, this grouping is the closest battling you've got on the track at the moment. I'm still keeping tabs on the top 4 because the gaps aren't too far apart, but they're not as nearly as close as this grouping has been for the past several laps. And once again, it's worth noting that the second car in line here is a lap down. That is Greg Wyszynski. Craig Johnson getting checked up, falls back to Brian Watson, who's going to look up the inside into turn 3, and it will be Brian Watson to make the run up and take over that 7th position now, as Craig Johnson drops another. So you look up to your race leader of Travis Manning, who has so far been able to put on the display that we saw earlier on in this race when he won out stage 1 by 10.8 seconds. Although it hasn't been as dominant of a run for him lately, he still has led every single lap in stage 3 and is looking set to be able to potentially take a race win tonight. Now, this is Travis Manning's first start here in the Saturday Night Cup Series, so he is not quite in contention for a championship. But that isn't to say I'm sure he wouldn't like to at least go for a potential top 10 in points. And I believe that that potential is very much there. You look back as well to Matthew Tiro, who has been having a bit of a day of his own. Started 4th place. He kind of dropped back a little bit, but he's been working his way back up to 2nd. He's shown that he's very, very good on the short runs. So I'm sure if he could get himself in a good position on one of these restarts, he could potentially give Travis Manning the run for his money. And even further back, you see Adrian Watts, who is still trying to keep some space between himself and Chris Johnson. Now, Adrian Watts, this is not, I believe, his first start in this race so far, or in this series so far. In fact, it is his second. So he's looking to potentially make up a spot of Wayne Grassi, along with Alonzo King, Mo Abhat, and Brian Johnson, all of which are not present here tonight, except for Brian Johnson, who is running a few spots behind him in 7th. So he's got the potential to score quite a few points tonight and potentially work his way up into the top 10 here in the points for this Saturday Night Cup Series. Now, that being said, he has not been the best on a long run. In fact, that has more belonged to Chris Johnson, who has been consistently 2 to 3 tenths quicker every single lap for the past 8 or so in his efforts to attempt to run down Adrian Watts. And just a little ways behind Chris Johnson sits Joshua Watson, the first of the Watson brothers, who was also trying to keep his own gap at bay with Kenny Powell, who is just in behind. So you got this really interesting dynamic here between two very different teams. You've got JRB, G&G. Sorry, JBR, G&G, JBR, G&G. It's a very interesting pattern that we're starting to see on the track. And I'll tell you what, Chris Johnson is about to catch Adrian Watts here in just a couple of laps if he can stick with him. A third-place driver has been doing great work so far, but that being said, pit stops always a factor as Richard Elliott is going to become the first driver to make that journey down. Already a lap down, of course. Oh, and Joshua Watson, bad entry. Give it up for Kenny Powell, Stage 2 winner. He'll move his way back up into the top 5. Powell once again taking this kind of wider entry and exiting it much tighter down low. It's a strategy that so far has paid off for him quite well, actually. In quite a few spots, we've been able to mount quite a few defenses that way as well. It's Joshua Watson taking a bit of a different line, though. He was trying to go a bit higher and then down low. Trying to run Powell back down, but the fact that Brian Watson keeps pushing a bit wider on the exit of these corners means he is not able to get as big as momentum as I think he would have liked. Chris Johnson once again trying to close up to Adrian Watts. As you see Brian Watson making the trip down to pit road. Just behind, Paul Olson is going to call it out as well. He comes in. And that battle further up the field just got split apart as Kenny Powell makes a trip down to pit road, and you saw him locking up the tires as he made a late and very rapid entry. I think he just got to slow down in time, though. Baczynski came with him. As well as that, Joshua O'Connor has come down pit road. Chris Johnson is coming in. So this is the window for pit stops. Heads up! Nearly comes back up, though, and almost made contact with Joshua Watson. That could have been a nasty one. Craig Johnson is also in. – 29 laps to go at the moment in this race. 4 tires and fuel is expected. So far, we've had 2 cautions on the night. Both have been for stages, so it has been a crash-free night. Always a good sight to see. Travis Manning and Matthew Tyrrell have both come down pit road. Manning learning from his mistake in stage number 2. When he did not respond faster to the undercut from Kenny Powell, not going to allow that mistake to cost him a race win tonight. And there you can see Jay Hone in the 38 Miller Light Machine, a driver that has not had the best of seasons so far, or even the best of races. He's the last running driver on the track. 5 laps down so far from the race leaders. And there you look back up to Matthew Tyrrell, who is now in 4th. We are just waiting on Joshua Watson and Adrian Watts to come down to pit road. Frank Flores has already made his call that he's coming in, and he is in this time by. And Matthew Tyrrell now in a battle with Chris Johnson. So 6th on track. And Johnson looks to the inside. Tyrrell trying to carry the momentum around the top, but there's not going to be enough of it. Chris Johnson moves up a place. That'll put him to 6th on track. Now he's clear to run up to his teammate, Kenny Powell. Joshua Watson makes his trip down to pit road this time by. And now we just wait on race leader Adrian Watts, who's just passed up and unlapped by Travis Manning. And this time, Adrian Watts will come down to the lane, the last driver that needed to. And you saw the gaggle of cars that was breezing by. Kenny Powell has lost a lot of time to Chris Johnson, putting his teammate under fire. Was that Gary Adamson under fire? He's going to lose a spot to Matthew Tyrrell. And there comes Chris Johnson. Powell tried to think about defending, but he's going to go down the inside. And Johnson's going to put himself easily into 3rd. Adrian Watts just now coming out of the pits. But Manny is still some distance behind. I'm surprised that Adrian Watts is as far out in front as he is. Although he has dropped back to 8th now on my time screens, and now it was just updated for you guys as well. So Manning is 1st, Johnson 2nd, Powell 3rd. Joshua Watson just made the pass on Adrian Watts for 8th. That seems a bit more right in my eyes. And tell you what, with so little time remaining, why don't we go and take a ride on board with our good old friend Gary Adamson, who's got a view of some of the guys up in front of him. And we'll be back in a few. So some updates over the field. You saw, of course, Gary Adamson lost out on a spot to Craig Johnson as we rode on board with him. And he lost out another one up to Joshua Watson, so that puts Watts back down to 7th place, as well as that Adamson and Brian Watson swap for 8th and 9th. But the battle still looking to rage on further up the field. Craig Johnson under fire from Joshua Watson on the fresher rubber. And the JBR machine, how about that? Breezing past the outside of Craig Johnson like he's standing still. Adrian Watts will follow. That means Craig Johnson loses 2 and 1. You see just behind Brian Watson making a run at the 808 of Gary Adamson. And he'll take that spot away coming into turn number 3. Now, Adrian Watts is not done fighting this battle here. You can see neither is Adamson deeper in the field. We'll keep tabs on both battles as they approach lap traffic. Craig Johnson having a big moment. You saw just in the back out of turn number 2. Joshua Watson, though, gonna breeze through and pick up a spot. That was not a spot. That was Frank Flores. Lap traffic, once again, causing a factor in this race. Greg Wyszynski is the next one. And Joshua Watson forced to check up, but Watts is forced to check up bigger as the JBR machine nearly goes into the outside wall. You saw Greg Wyszynski falling back. There's a lot of lap traffic up the road for these JBR cars to have to navigate. Just got past Jay Hone again, and now they got to work with Richard Elliott. Does look, though, like Joshua Watson is just starting to be able to pull away a little bit more from Adrian Watts lap by lap. And it's those little gaps that add up over time that tend to win a battle in these positions. It's not always that one mega dive bomb up into a corner. Speaking of little by little, Chris Johnson losing a bit of time to Kenny Powell. Powell's been a little bit quicker the last couple of laps. So that gap is currently down to about 0.4 of a second. But Powell, with his enter high XLO strategy, has been doing a good job so far being able to reel in Chris Johnson, though he's kind of compromised his line that time by in a 3. And we are 9 laps to go now on the clock. So you've got 2nd and 3rd. You've also got 5th and 6th. Those are the 2 battles we have on the track at the moment. We'll check back in this P6 and P5 battle. So far, there's still been no change. And who's faster on which lap, honestly, kind of switches around every now and again. But they are pretty evenly matched. This last lap by, just 1/1000th of a second separated their lap times. A 30.583 for Watson. For Watts, it was a 30.584. And they have been steadily catching Matthew Tyrrell, who has been losing time to both of them up in 4th place. In fact, just this last lap alone lost 0.6 of a second to him. And now looking for the inside is Joshua Watson down in the turn 1. Tyrrell, oh, he's going to try to fight this one out. Trying to take the run away from that 0-1 car out of 2. But in turn 3, it's not going to be a contest. Joshua Watson will almost certainly be able to clear here. And sure enough, he does. Leave it to Adrian Watts now. Kind of gets scared out with 5 to go now. But Tyrrell's going to be forced to tuck back in a line. Oh, and Tyrrell hits the wall coming into turn number 1. Pushed a bit too wide and got sideways on corner entry of turn 1. Was still trying to save it, but he managed to power slide his way out of the corner. And Matthew Tyrrell he is going to be trying to do his best here to try to work his way back up to overtake Adrian Watts. It is 3 laps to go, and Powell got close to making a move on Chris Johnson into turn 1. Was close enough, he might have been able to utilize the bumper. Opted not to do it, though. Probably a wise move, given that's her teammate. But Travis Manning has once again asserted dominance over the field of this one. 8.4 seconds as we're 2 to go. It's almost a guaranteed victory for that 22 machine. So we'll keep our tabs on this battle between the 48 and the 24 G&G machines. One little mistake, and Kenny Powell could easily pick up a 2nd place here. And white flag is waving. This race will go caution-free, just like the other few. You still see Chris Johnson trying to keep Powell at bay, but there's the mistake. Kenny Powell has the run. Chris Johnson has to defend, and it's going to be a huge defense for Johnson on Kenny Powell down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Manning off of turn 4. Travis Manning wins the race, and there's almost contact. There might have been contact between the 2 teammates. Manning wins the race, and Powell muscles his way up into a 2nd place finish. But for Travis Manning, he wins it by almost as much as he won stage 1, 9.7 seconds over the field. A total of 10 cars will finish on the lead lap. And with the last of those cars crossing the line now, let's take a look at your official Tucson Soundart post-race results from the Hooters 250 at Texas Motor Speedway. It's Travis Manning to take a race win by 9.7 seconds over Kenny Powell, who barged his way past Chris Johnson on the last lap to pick up a 2nd place finish. Adrian Watts is going to be in 4th place with Joshua Watson down in 5th. Matthew Tyrrell in 6th. It is Craig Johnson in 7th. Brian Watson in 8th. Gary Adamson in 9th with Joshua O'Connor down in 10th. Greg Wychinski 1 lap down in 11th place with Paul Olson in 12th. Frank Flores 13th. Richard Elliott down in 14th with Jay Hone 15th. And Pedro Henrique going to be in 16th place on the night. So Travis Manning enjoying himself and having his celebrations down there on the front straightaway. From the sounds of it, might have blown the motor on that 22 frontline machine. But with this race now officially complete, we'll see if we can't bring up our race winner on the night, Travis Manning. And Travis, you won stage 1 by 10.8 seconds, the race by 9.7. So I have to address the elephant in the room. How did you come second place on stage 2 with such a dominant performance?
Kenny definitely pulled a better strategy on me. That's for sure. Making the call for tires, pitting when he did, it was a perfect call. I wish I would have thought of it. He definitely outsmarted me there. But thankfully this car was good enough. We were able to pull through in the final stage and bring it home.
It was a quieter race than the Thursday night race was. Overall, do you think that was a positive for you tonight that helped you to eke out another race win?
Yeah, for sure. Thursday didn't quite go the way I would have liked it to. And, part of it just came for, the amount of cautions we had, different strategies across the board, stuff like that. Frustration builds up, things happen, and we end up on the trailer going home while the race is still going. It's not how we like it. These caution-free races are nice. It lets the guys that are supposed to battle it out. It just lets the race play out the way it should. But you can't even say that in racing because there is no such thing as should. So obviously I prefer to go caution free. Whether if it's if a first place car or mid pack car or whatever it may be, it creates better racing that way, in my opinion.
And next week we head on over to the Kansas Speedway. It is a bit faster. It's also much narrower there. Do you think this caution-free streak will be able to continue there? And can we expect to see you coming back in the Saturday night, Cup Series coming into Kansas?
I'm going to come back to the first question. Second question, next week I won't make it for Thursday or Saturday. I have a trip planned to Florida, so be down there. But I would definitely like to finish it out and come back for the rest of them. Back to the first question, yeah, Kansas is a tough place. Really upset that's the track that I'm missing. It's hard because it's 5 to 10 laps. Everyone's on the bottom high, and then from lap 10 on to next time you go get tires or fuel, it's high line. So I wouldn't expect to see super clean racing. Expect to see people definitely using this new aero model to their advantage, shaking people out of the way. Maybe see a bumper or two. It's going to be hard to say to see if it goes caution free. It could either go caution free or it could be a caution fest.
And we asked you this before and you won stage 1, but we're going to ask it again. Who helped you to be fast tonight in that Frontline Esports number 22 Ford Mustang?
A big shout out to Dan. Got to definitely call him out. He worked his butt off on this car after we were all screaming at him halfway through the week. So big shout out to him. But as always, shout out to everyone at Frontline, Bruising Q's. Everyone that makes this gig possible week in, week out. You guys, Thursdays, Saturdays, definitely fun to come out here, and looking forward to coming out more.
And thank you, Travis, for taking the time to come on out and join us here tonight. Congratulations on a race win from Texas, and we won't see you next week, but hopefully we'll be seeing you in just 2 weeks' time at Martinsville.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So that was Travis Manning, race winner at the end of the night, and he talked about how next week we might see some people using the bumper. There was one driver today that decided not to use the bumper, but instead the door, and that driver was Kenny Powell on the final lap of the race. Powell swept through to take a second place, stealing it away from G&G teammate Chris Johnson. So Kenny, out of all the guys for it to get physical, you were probably the last one I expected to see that from, especially on the last lap of the race with a teammate.
You got to do what you got to do, right? Oh, it was fun. I do enjoy racing my teammates. I believe we're all clean, and we can normally race close together. But unfortunately, I think netcode always comes into play a little bit, and I don't know if we would have actually hit. We both looked at it already, and there was a little netcode in there. But I hate that word, so don't want to use that. But I'm going to blame it on my teammate's fault. He I don't know what he did in M1 and 2, but he opened the door, and I put my foot in it, and wasn't going to let go.
I think we'll say it was magical arrow push that pushed Chris Johnson up the track in 3 and 4 then, so we don't have to use that specific type of an N-word, so to speak, here in this one. But you come through at the end of the race, and it was a caution-free race, of course, and stages 1 and 2, the strategy was rather simple. Relatively take fuel only, make it to the end. For stage 3, what was kind of the decision, though? Did you think you might be able to go for another undercut to maybe eke out a race win over Travis Manning like you had at stage 2?
I was fighting an uphill battle that whole time because of the pace car pitting situation at the end of stage 2. So, I'm pretty happy with second. With Travis in the field, it's this may have been where I was anyway, but I was hoping to start in the front or right beside him for the third stage. But instead, I had to come all the way through the field to get to second. So that's a win in my book.
Of course, we already got Travis Manning's thoughts on this. He thinks it'll be a competitive race next week at Kansas. What's your take on it?
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I love Kansas. He said it exactly how I think it's going to be. You got the first 10, 15 laps that you're going to go low, then you're going to go up to the top. And, with this aero package we got, you're going to be tight racing and pushing. And, it is definitely one of those races that can be a caution fest or go the whole thing green. So we'll see.
And well, Kenny, it's able to talk to you on the rare occasions up here in the booth. But before we will let you go here tonight, who helps you to be quick in that Toyota Camry for Gas and Go Racing?
Yeah, so during the stage, I shouted out my whole team and especially Clayton for putting this set together. Want to shout out you and Rob for helping me put this all on. It's one of the best leagues in iRacing, I believe, and I owe it to you two guys.
And well, Kenny, thank you for the kind words and congratulations on a second place finish and best of luck next week in Kansas.
Thank you.
Well, Kenny said you have to do what you got to do to get a race win. And Chris Johnson, third place finisher, he was here. He heard every single word. So, Chris, you heard what your teammate just had to say about it. Do you feel the same?
I expected that from old Kenny. He's got to run me into the wall or spin me or whatever to get around me. So I'm okay with that. No, it was a good race. I blew 1 and 2. That got Kenny up next to me, and if it wasn't for that net code, it probably would have been a photo 1 or 2, 3 at the finish line. But net code got the best of me. But it was fun.
It was a fun race indeed, and no doubt this will help you to increase your points lead coming on over into Kansas Speedway. And the way it's looking right now, you're getting set to win out the first ever Saturday Night Cup Series. Is that still the intention for you?
Yeah, Kenny informed me today that I was in the points lead. I have no idea how. It's probably because I'm more focused in Thursday league. I run this mainly for fun, but yeah, I'm happy to be in first. I'm happy to be leading this thing.
And of course, Chris, we've gotten the top two's thoughts on Kansas Speedway. They both seem to think it'll be a nice, hard, competitive race and a fun and entertaining one. What's your take on it? What is it on your plate?
It'd probably be like this. It'd probably be trash. This package isn't the best in the world, especially with this drafting package we got. But yeah, it might be good. It's 50-50. It might be good racing. It might end up like this.
You're more of a short track guy. I think it's safe to say.
I'm starting to like them a little bit better.
Well, you got one coming up in 2 weeks at Martinsville, so we'll see what will happen at what is now technically iRacing's second fastest paperclip on the service. But before we let you go here, Chris, anybody you'd like to shout out for your G&G number 48?
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, Kenny, ISCA, G&G, Clayton, Brian, all the guys that are invested in the setups and making us go fast.
And thank you, Chris, for taking time out of your evening to come up here and join us up in the booth. And congratulations on a third place finish, and best of luck next week at Kansas.
Thank you, sir.
So that will be a wrap then for tonight's presentation for the Hooters 250 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. But next week, we swing back over to Kansas Speedway, what has sometimes been known as the world's most treacherous mile and a half. And what will we see there if tonight's race is ended to go by? I would expect only good things coming up from next week's 200-mile race. But for now, from the Texas Motor Speedway, we have to close. My name's been Ola Rempel, and I've had Rob Melnick behind the cameras for all of tonight's presentation. And I want to thank all of you guys for taking the time to come on out and joining us for more Saturday Night Racing for the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. And we will see you all next week.